Hello, everybody. So, as usual, I don't like to waste any time. Thank you all for joining. So, here we go. I wanted to do a different segment today, but there was so much news out there. I simply had to tackle the news because there's so many questions coming in. So, hope you all made it safe through the weekend. And here is the IA News Flash. This is the third live stream I've ever done, and it's really cool, and you guys like it. But forgive any blubs if I make any. But let's just jump right in. As usual, disclaimer, this is edutainment, not investment advice. Math, money, and freedom is the name of the game. And I try find patterns and opportunities to help you all achieve financial freedom and give back to society. That's the end game. So let's just jump in and talk about the big elephant in the room. So I look at the Bitcoin charts probably a little bit too much. But over the weekend, we saw the perfect RSI signal. Now, I don't know if you can zoom into that particular chart, but you can see when I was looking at my settings on my trading view, the RSI signal went to about 10.3. And I'm going to do a TA video on how to dollar cost average and identify buying signals for Bitcoin and how I do it using RSI, MACD, and Fibonacci, the whole enchilada together. And I'll show you exactly how I put that trading alert for Patreon yesterday, and when I actually bought, I think I entered about $47,530, which was close to the bottom. The bottom was 47,000 flat, I think. But I'll show you guys how to do that tomorrow. So don't forget to tune in to my TA Tuesday. So for those of you who like tacos, that's the name of the game. Now, when it did flash the perfect signal, what was really amazing about this is how Bitcoin, the low to high, this is a kind of a wick or candle from hell, but it went up 15.82% or $7,400 in 20 hours. So the old expression, buy the dip if you can. And you know what I always tell people is be patient. Let Bitcoin come to you. It's so volatile. It makes it so beautiful. But what breaks my heart is it shakes people out. And this is a huge whale manipulation all the time. So everybody, don't get shaken out. That's somebody texted me because it's actually my stylist who pings me today saying, hey, I just opened up a Robinhood account. You got to teach me how to buy Bitcoin. So part of what we talk about today is the whole FOMO in for the world. So sorry about that binging, but that was incredible. Imagine a $7,500 movement in 20 hours, which is huge. Anyway, it's very common. For those who are new to Bitcoin, we'll see. Anyway, tomorrow I'll show you how I identified these signals and the best way to dollar cost average into Bitcoin. Now, something else that was very interesting is we are still very early in the adoption phase of cycle. Bitcoin is adding 60,000 new users a day. Just like I mentioned, my stylist, Shantae, she's now watching me on YouTube. And my hair is a mess, by the way. She'll probably kill me for that. But we are still at less than 10% adoption in the United States. That means we have even less adoption in other parts of the world, but we're adding 60,000 users a day, which is huge. So again, it's only just begun. Can you imagine what it's like when we're 90% penetrated? It'd be a very different world. So the other thing that was kind of interesting, and this brought my attention to Solana, which I know a lot of you are making comments right now. And this is the #1 draft pick, Trevor Lawrence. He joins Blockfolio, and he wants his bonus paid out in Ethereum and Solana, as well as Bitcoin, which is huge. But this is the first time ever an athlete is receiving their signing bonus in cryptocurrency, which I thought was very interesting. What's even more interesting is this. I had to look into Solana because I didn't really know that much about it. And what people have been pinging me to look at Stellar and Theta for a long time. But I was surprised that Solana had actually leapfrogged the top 9 cap. And people believe Solana could be a top 5 project in combo with Ethereum. Now, I haven't dug into this yet. I just saw in the comments some people think the management team are a little bit shady, but they do come from pedigree operations like Google, Qualcomm, Microsoft, and Twitter. So I will be digging into Solana a little bit more because this football player piqued my interest. So in other news, of course, related to Solana and the combo of Solana and Ethereum, Ethereum is on fire. They doubled their daily transactions from over a year ago. The gas fees are down, which means the Berlin launch worked. And Ethereum is also showing tremendous relative strength. In fact, it just blew through 2,500 again. And I'm working on my updated price prediction. For those of you who know I did a price prediction a long time ago, and I estimated it'd be worth about 8,900 by the year 2025, always as usual being very conservative. But because it's run so fast, so far, I'll be updating those price predictions as well. So stay tuned for that. Now, what's also super interesting is the whole space. As you guys know, I am fascinated by DeFi. That's why I'm fascinated by Ethereum. And the Ethereum and DeFi lending is also on fire. There's a report from Masari that came out. The lending deposits are going parabolic. The top three hit 25 billion in deposits, and 53% of the market is with Compound, 30% of MakerDAO, and Aave at 17%. I know there's a lot of Aave fans out there, so I'm digging into that as well as Solana and a bunch of other things. But this is a very, very impressive space. So stay tuned for that. And that brings me to my next topic is, where does the future going? So if you look at buying gold, and Bitcoin is the most pristine store of value, that is basically digital gold, as we all know. You've heard me say it 1,000 times and many others. But what Ethereum could be is the whole internet. Now, when you put that in perspective of Amazon, Google, Facebook, and Netflix, they are the top biggest companies in the world, all because of the internet. So my point is, I hinted about a week or two ago, the more convinced I've become, Ethereum definitely could be bigger than Bitcoin in terms of market cap. So more interesting analysis as to how I come to those numbers, but it is a fascinating space to watch. Now, Tesla earnings, switching gears away from crypto for a second. Tesla earnings update. They had very good earnings, but they did what I call cut the books a little bit. They sold some of their Bitcoin, which is the topic of I'm touching on this today. But revenue was great. Earnings was beat expectations. Elon Musk said on the call they are building the most advanced AI system in the world, and I believe that. And they do still plan on being a long-term investor in Bitcoin, but Tesla is down in the aftermarkets. So let me explain probably why. First of all, there's some FUD out there. As usual, beware of the FUD. Some people are saying they sold 20% of the Bitcoin holdings to boost their income by 25%. That's sort of true, but not exactly true. So what Tesla actually did, and you could blame their CFO for that, not necessarily Elon Musk, but they purchased $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. And that's about 43,000 Bitcoins. The average price they paid was 34,000. The profit from sale was 101,000, which they disclosed. So I estimate the average sale price that they got is about 58,000. And the profit for Bitcoin they sold is 23,000. And the number they sold was about 4,300, which is only 10% of their holdings, not 20%. Now, the interesting thing about that is as well, they are still taking in Bitcoin for the sales of new vehicles. So maybe that could be offsetting the amount on their balance sheet. I've yet to dig into that, but again, don't worry too much about that actual FUD. And when you look at the daily Tesla chart, so people ask me a lot today, where do we get in? People always want to buy stocks at earnings because they think they're blowout. So what I like is the 0.50 Fibonacci level, which will take us to approximately, I think it was 691. At least that level. And who knows, it might be a dip to that level tomorrow. My average price for Tesla is very low because I got in pre-split. We talk more about splits later as well. Actually, no, we're talking about splits right now. So in terms of some split speculation, there is rumor that Amazon is going to split. And for those of you who know me and my option strategy, I love to get a leap option before a split announcement. So I'm too late on this. I used to trade Amazon between $29.50 and $33.00 for a long time, but I have no position right now. And it's run a little bit too far. So as usual, buy the rumor, sell the news. It might be too late to chase. But if there is a big downwick, maybe there's another chance to get in at 3. Interview with Time Magazine. And he said, demand on the crypto side has been multiple fold of what they expected. And there's a lot of excitement. So you can expect earnings to be blowout, just like Square had as well. And I'll be tracking their earnings coming up too. But PayPal has gone from 24 up to about 270 right now, but they're off the high of about 309. So watch that space for PayPal. I expect very, very positive earnings. And in other news regarding the stock market, This has been the biggest ever return in the stock market for over 70 years from Biden being in office and then in the stock market, which is pretty incredible. Now, the stimulus and the money printing may have helped a great deal as well, but still, it's good. His predecessor used to talk about the stock market a lot. He felt it was his main lever, but Biden has done much better. So I'm going to now take your questions and make it live. This is a piece that I really enjoy doing. So I'll spend about 5 or 10 minutes chatting with you all and see what questions you have. So let me go to the actual questions right now. Bear with me while I pop out the chat. Let me see. Oh, Guy. Oh my God, Guy, thank you so much. 20 reals from Brazil. I actually have your famous soccer player do a soccer shirt that's signed in his name. So I'm going to hang it up and put it behind my wall one day. Let me see what else is going on. So Chris Bastardi, when do you recommend buying right now? Bitcoin or MicroStrategy? Also, when is the time to sell MicroStrategy? Appreciate your work. So MicroStrategy is a complete Bitcoin proxy with a little bit of a premium. So I think you sell it in stages, but it'll really depend on exactly where Bitcoin goes. And that's a function of, does Bitcoin hit 100,000 or 200,000? And they'll determine exactly where MicroStrategy goes. And I have a model that maps all that out. So the numbers offhand right now are between about $12.50, $12.80, all the way up to over $2,000. I think it's always better to have the pure form, which means own Bitcoin outright. But the sad thing about Bitcoin is it's easier to play option strategies on MicroStrategy and manage your risk that way. So that's why I tend to do a lot with MicroStrategy, especially because sometimes it's oversold, sometimes it's overbought, and it's pretty easy to spot those arbitration possibilities. So let's see. DeFi on layer 2 is fantastic. Yes, the whole ETH space, it's crazy. And please comment on the ETH to ETH 2. What do you think? So I think the new London launch for July will be a game changer. They're already making a lot of inroads into that area, and I think it'll be very positive. Just if you look at the stats online for all the DeFi, all the stuff that's happening, it's all running off Ethereum today. I know Cardano are trying to pick off elements of their business, and they just had a recent win, I think, with Shopify, where people now using the Shopify portals can actually get paid in Cardano. So that's kind of interesting, but we'll see where all that goes. Thoughts on Theta, Polygon, and Compound. I know Compound. I'm looking into Theta. Polygon, I haven't looked into. But again, apologies, everybody. There's so much. I get so many requests to look into stuff, and I have to go real deep, and it takes an awful lot of time. And there simply aren't a lot of time, hours in the day. However, I did do a very interesting poll this morning within Patreon, and we're voting over 2,500 people are voting on the top altcoins. So we'll see what we can pull from that and what type of analysis. HODL, yeah, they had a good day today. And can you please make a video? Or let me know what you use to automate property management. Yes, that's an interesting one. Buy property out of state. Well, the rule of thumb regarding property and property management is you should always be within 50 miles of where you are. But there are a whole bunch of little tricks you can use to automate things. And I will do a video on that for everybody. It's very comprehensive, it's long, and it's complex. So I can't just quite address it right now. So Dan, with Bitcoin and or Ethereum, at what point do you sell off some profits to buy dips compared with just holding both? So I originally always planned to hold on to Bitcoin forever and just borrow fiat against it to invest in revenue generating perpetual income streams. In terms of Ethereum, I had planned to sell it off when it hits a certain amount. That amount was about $8,900. But now I just want everybody to know that everything changes so fast in this space that if I make a price prediction, or if I say, hey, I'm doing this 3 months ago, everything changes so fast that I have to revise numbers, I have to revise plans. So remember, you got to be able to dance with the market because it's changing so fast. So right now, I don't know. Right now, I'm pretty convinced that Ethereum could be as big as Bitcoin one day, and that will be huge. So I do accumulate when I can. I bought Bitcoin at the weekend, right at the dip, and did a real-time alert on that. I haven't added to Ethereum since it was at about $1,500. So we'll see. And my cost basis for both is very low. But I think now, next time I buy into something, it'll probably be Ethereum instead of Bitcoin, as well as some equities that I think are very hot. And we have a scammer in here. Can you believe it? They are everywhere. So everybody be careful. Never believe a Meet Kevin phone number or something with my image or anything else. And they're everywhere. So I need to get a moderator to do this. Report. Sorry about that. A little bit of a delay. So again, it's good actually that you guys see the scammers in real time, so you know what to look for. So if I had 20,000 to invest right now, where would you put it? Interesting question. It would be a combination of things. I'd buy a little bit of biotech. I'd buy a little bit of Ethereum. Everybody always needs to have some Bitcoin, depending on how much you have. Everybody also needs to have a little bit of Tesla. I believe it's an absolute game changer. I think it's a $3 trillion market cap stock, which means it's going to it's going up to, well, I won't give out exact numbers, but a little portfolio of like 4 or 5 select names would be very, very interesting. So I'll take a couple more questions before I have to go. Where do you post alerts? I post alerts on Patreon, but please don't join Patreon because their billing starts at the 1st of every month. So if you join today, they'll bill you today and they'll bill you on May 1st as well. So if you're interested, check out some of the posts online, and but don't join. So Lucas Ryan, Tombs are crazy. You once said that before your channel blew up, you had a blog about nutrition and similar. Yes, I blogged about cancer and cancer nutrition for 10 years because both my parents died of cancer. So I was fascinated by cancer detection, cancer prevention, and that brought me down the path of nutrition. And you guys are very interested. I've already shared one of my shakes, and we'll do a little bit more of that as well, because my philosophy is health is wealth. It sounds very cliche, but if you're not healthy, you can't enjoy the spoils of financial freedom. So it's very, very important to be safe. So yes, this video will be saved on YouTube. And let me see. Chad Heater, thank you so much. By the way, all donations go to pet shelters, animal shelters. They don't go to me. So thank you so much. At the end of the bull run, will you sell off any Bitcoin, take advantage of the bear market and buy back Bitcoin? No, my plan, Chad, very good question, is to sell futures against my long positions out about 3 or 6 months, depending on how far we go and how far I think we can dip. And that will help me determine exactly what I do. But I want to hold on to my Bitcoin because of tax reasons and sell futures against it. And that will protect my downside if there is any. So investors, the most beautiful chart you've ever seen. Most beautiful chart I ever saw was actually at the weekend with Bitcoin. And I'm going to showcase it tomorrow. Exactly what I saw across MACD, RSI, Fibonacci. It was just glaring buy like I haven't seen since the March pandemic hit for Bitcoin. So I love all these questions. Yeah, Tesla's a must-have. Tesla is changing the world, literally, in so many ways. They're not a car company. They're an AI company. They're an energy company. And remember, the size of the energy industry is 100 times bigger than the car industry globally. So once they start taking that over, in fact, I heard today that Apple campus, they've built this huge spaceship campus, that's going to have a backup generator, which will be all of the Tesla energy packs going forward. XRP, I don't touch XRP because I don't trust the management team. Too much shady stuff. And they have literally 50 billion in escrow that they can dump at any time. So I like things with limited supply. Very important. Remember, scarcity is everything. When there's a bunch of stuff, it's not fun. So I watch Tesla earnings and interested in Bitcoin from their customers. I don't think they'll accept Dogecoin as a payment for cars. No. And SafeMoon, everybody's talking about it. I never heard of it until about a week or two ago. Things that are kind of like a flash in the pan, the soup du jour, I stay away from. Mushrooms daily reduce cancer risk by 47%. I drink mushrooms in my coffee every morning. I'll talk more about that as well in the future. Good note there, Alex Johnson. Everybody's asking about SafeMoon. Oh my God, I'm going to have to look into that tonight. Okay. Polkadot versus ETH. I think ETH will win the day. Remember Metcalfe's law, network effect, first mover advantage. They have all of the firepower in their back pocket. NFT, art finance, interesting. I am interested in art. Therefore, I'm also interested in NFTs. And that's why I have a little bit of Engine Coin. So Mushrooms and coffee. Yeah, it sounds gross, but I'll show you tomorrow or in a future video. Cool. That's it. I'm going to have to wrap up and close this down and get back to looking at SafeMoon and all this other good stuff. Any final question? Let me know. I'll do it. Resveratrol is very good as well. I do have a vice. I drink red wine. That's where I get my resveratrol. So stoked. Thanks. Thank you as always, everybody. Hey, I really appreciate it. Hit the likes on the way out if you like this. And let me know in the comments below if you prefer my pre-canned ones. But I really enjoy connecting with you all and answering your questions. So it's so much fun. And cheers. That's House drinking red wine in Miami. Good to see you all in here, okay? Thanks, everybody. And be safe, of course, as usual. Talk to you soon. Bye.